Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Comics Fu Show. I'm Kurtis Fujita. Co-host Patrick Lugo is behind the scenes doing some last-minute things with our upcoming guest. But welcome, everybody, for joining us. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and we're going to start just kind of with an update about current Kickstarters. The first one is going to be my project. But before I forget, the Comics Fu Show, we're at the intersection between Kung Fu, martial arts, comic books, and pop culture. So we love all those things, and that's kind of the focus of our show. So anyways, let's go ahead. We'll start with just kind of an update on my project for Shadow Ghost, which just went live late Sunday evening. All right, so here we go. All right, so we're doing pretty good, as you can see here. I believe we're about 66% funded, and that's within less than 48 hours. So that's excellent. Really appreciate everybody's help with that, everybody's support. As you can see here, we've already gotten $2,196 out of the $3,300 goal. So off to an excellent start. And as always, just kind of a reminder, we have lots of different reward tiers. We have the standard tier here with the Shadow Ghost cover by myself. It's the Kung Fu comic by a Kung Fu master. We also have, as you can see, a lot of authentic Kung Fu action. And also we have Special Edition. Special Edition is actually probably one of our most popular ones. That's with the cover by Stephen Butler, as you may know from Web of Spider-Man. And it actually comes with 16 extra pages of additional artwork, as well as this cover from Dean Zachary. Very, very strong cover of the mysterious Shadow Ghost, and that's the variant cover. And so we have a lot of different options, digital, physical copies, all those things. So let's go ahead and let's also let's watch the trailer for it. And when we come back, maybe we'll talk a little bit about our other Kickstarter campaign, A Tiger's Tale, and that's by Patrick Lugo. So just one moment, and let's have a look at it. Right about here. As a kid, I loved Kung Fu movies. So I went to Chinatown, trained with a wise teacher, and became a Kung Fu master. Sounds simple, right? Not really. My journey, like the study of Kung Fu, was as arduous as it was rewarding, filled with as many secrets as revelations and as much heartache as triumph. It's a defining moment in my life, and while I began studying Kung Fu to learn how to fight, what I discovered was a way to live. Martial arts never came easy to me. I was far from talented and even farther from being the chosen one. It was only through years of tenacious perseverance that I was able to make steady progress. And so I was surprised when my master told me that I should teach Kung Fu and share the art outside of Chinatown. I did just that and taught Kung Fu to my own students for 20 years. I always wanted to do more to share the art of Kung Fu with others, but was limited by only being able to teach those within my immediate area. What about the rest of the world? Then one day, I had one of the deepest insights about Kung Fu. I realized that the punches, kicks, throws, and myriad of martial maneuvers are merely the delivery system for the true essence of Kung Fu, the philosophy and way of life. Having worked for years as a professional artist and storyteller in film, animation, video games, and comic books, I realized that I could draw upon this unique skill set to share my passion for Kung Fu with the greater world. And so I created Shadow Ghost, a Kung Fu comic by a Kung Fu master. The first issue is created entirely by myself, from story and art to colors and lettering. Every panel is filled with unprecedented accuracy in its depiction of Kung Fu by a comic book creator who knows from first-hand experience what it means to be a Kung Fu master. Shadow Ghost is a martial arts coming-of-age story about a young man whose search for the truth about a legendary hero leads him to study Kung Fu, and through a twist of fate becomes part of the legend himself. For the first time in comic book history, you can immerse yourself further in each issue with Kung Fu skills technology, powered by Tiger Crane Kung Fu. Scan the QR code at the back of the comic and follow an exclusive link to an online instructional video where I teach you Kung Fu techniques featured in this series. With Kung Fu skills technology, you can do more than just read about the Shadow Ghost saga. You can become a part of it. The first issue is completely finished and ready for print. All that's needed is for you to make a pledge of support so that we can fund the printing of the first issue. Together, we can share the wisdom of Kung Fu with the greater world. Shadow Ghost is the story of Kung Fu. It's about the people, the art, the culture, and the philosophy. It's my story and the story of those that I've learned from, taught, fought, and loved. Join me and become part of the vibrant legacy in a place and time where we might not be the chosen one, but where we can make a choice to be part of something bigger and greater than just ourselves. I'm Sifu Kurtis Fujita, and this is Shadow Ghost, the Kung Fu comic by a Kung Fu master. All right, and we're back. So thanks for watching the trailer. And here is my co-host, Patrick Lugo. Patrick, how you doing?
Hey, Kurtis. I'm gonna get experimental here live and see if our esteemed guest will manifest.
Okay.
I got a screen capture from him so he can see us from his side, but we'll see what the internet has to say about things before we dive back in.
Definitely.
Maybe some audio. Coco, can you hear us, or can we hear you? Let's see. Okay, well, we'll still keep trying these little technical things, but while I'm here, let me let you know that a bit of quick news, right?
Please.
The Kickstart.atigerstail.com campaign has just reached 44 backers.
Excellent.
I love the symmetry of that number. And with that, I also want to let folks have a quick view of our trailer.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find that in all of my little... Oh, wrong button. So yes, my trailer...
Got it right.
Hi, I'm Lugo, author, illustrator, comic creator, and the art director for Kung Fu magazine for more than 20 years. But I'm here to talk to you about a project that's really special to me. It's the middle grade graphic novel, A Tiger's Tale. Imagine the story of tigers and dragons and martial artists and monsters. So when I launched the campaign for A Tiger's Tale Volume 1, I did not know what to expect. But it succeeded thanks to a group of passionate backers. It was also awarded the Make More Comics art grant that year and was later featured as part of an art gallery exhibit. And that's why I'm coming to Kickstarter, to cover production fees, printing, copy editing, things like that. Books completed, with the exception of a few pages I've set aside to color over the course of the campaign. This turned out to be a popular feature of Volume 1's campaign, so I thought I'd bring it back for Volume 2. I think it's going to be great fun for everyone. Hope you'll support the campaign. I'm very excited about it. Thanks for stopping by.
Excellent. Looks great. I love that final image that you have. The tiger coming forward with the kid next to him. It's just like, it's so nice.
Yeah, there's a whole story about trying to get to that image. You know, it's this recent philosophy I've had about it's a philosophy that I also carried into that cover art, right? Which was that each image needs to tell a story. So there was a period where it was just the tiger with the dragon, but I just needed another element to really convey what the story's about. So
Definitely.
I think it works. But I'm hopeful that we have our guest ready to join us. Interestingly enough, there's some tech variables at play. So let's see what happens if I press this button.
Okay. Well, looks like still a little bit of a challenge, but
Yes,
maybe
he may not have yet made it to his other computer station. But I wanted to share this one thing. I discovered this soundtrack, and I'm going to play that for a little bit.
Actually, it sounds like it's cutting into your audio.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah,
this is a morning for experiments.
maybe you can start while he's getting set. Tell us a little bit about him, how you both met, and kind of.
Oh, certainly. So, John Kokko is a licensed acupuncturist who runs a clinic here in the Bay Area, in a town people might have heard of called Berkeley, California, right, just outside of San Francisco. Mm-hmm. I was introduced to him through the Tai Chi instructor I was practicing with at the time, and but throughout my time in the Bay Area and in working for Kung Fu Magazine, I've kind of seen quite a few acupuncturists, quite a few practitioners of Chinese medicine, but the recommendation to see John, came from the person I was practicing Tai Chi with at the time, and really it was like fate, because his work is a level above so much of what I had experienced. Wow. And part of that is not just body work, massage, Tuina. It's not just the needles, right? But it was just the whole experience, including tea, And so part of what he helped me with was ongoing issues with insomnia. Uh-huh. And a pretty lifelong addiction to coffee, right? I started drinking coffee when I was about 5 years old.
Oh, really? Wow.
So, part of growing up in a Puerto Rican family, we go to church on Sunday mornings, and Mom would be like, "Here you go. Here's some porridge." And the porridge would really be, rather than oatmeal, it was black coffee, milk, crackers mashed up, and lots of sugar. And so I'd have that. Then we go to church and sit in church for an hour, and it's supposed to sit still. Caffeine. Wow. Well, I guess that's why they do all the stand, sit, kneel thing. Sure. That the Catholic Mass I grew up in had a lot of.
I remember you doing actual, like in your newsletter. And if anybody hasn't subscribed to Patrick's newsletter, it's so great. I remember seeing those things, in your comic books that you would, a comic strip you would do for your newsletter, about going to church, and so forth. So, yeah, that's excellent. Great stuff. Well, while Patrick's kind of researching a little bit the communicating with our guest. Feel free. I'll kind of.
All right, I'll be right back.
A little bit. So one of the things that our guest is coming to talk about is what's called Gong Fu Cha, or Gong Fu tea. Okay, which sounds interesting to the lay person. It sounds like you're punching and kicking and drinking tea at the same time, but it's actually something different. Those that know the term Gong Fu, the implication is always a skill acquired through a tremendous amount of hard work or effort. It's attaining a level of ability at something far beyond the average person, right? Because you put in far above and beyond the average amount of effort. So Kung Fu tea is the experience and of tea as in some cases as a ceremony, as far as the actual quality of the tea and just the overall experience. It's a tremendous art form, and if you've ever had the opportunity to have Kung Fu tea, it's life-changing. I mean, it's an absolutely amazing experience. I myself experienced Kung Fu tea when I was in the Guangdong region of China many years ago, and it was an amazing experience. I still recall to this day that the woman that was serving this tea, the young lady, had this whole poem and poetry and this whole performance associated with the tea ceremony. So I still recall she actually brought out these little tea cups, really tiny ones. And she would actually pour the tea on top of the actual cups first, right? Which I believe, permeated the smell of the tea inside of it. And then she would dump it out and then pour it again. The fascinating thing I always recall is when she was pouring it, she was actually saying a poem about something about a general coming back from war to the village or something along those lines. And so as she's saying it, she would hold the teapot and she would be dipping it like this. And while she's dipping the teapot, at that time, she's doing it in the rhythm of a horse galloping. And at each dip of her hand with the actual teapot, you could hear the tea dropping into the teacup and it sounded like a horse galloping. And so by doing that, that's how she actually served the tea, 1, 2, 3, 4, across like that. Absolutely amazing, totally transfixed to the experience. That was my first experience with Gong Fu tea. So it's a really exciting endeavor, really amazing. You don't get to see it too much here in the States, but if you do have the opportunity, I highly encourage you to look into it. It's an absolutely amazing experience. So Gong Fu tea, really great stuff. So while we're still here, kind of going over things, if you missed it, we did have a performance, and that was on Sunday night, our late Sunday live stream launch of the Comics Fu Show Season 2 and of our mutual campaigns. And we actually had a performance by a friend of the show, Capitan Wallace. He's a Kung Fu brother of mine, meaning we train at the same Kung Fu studio, and a musician. We've also collaborated on a music video for my comic book, Shadow Ghost, which is, of course, currently out on Kickstarter right now. But let's go ahead. I think we're going to go ahead and let's play his performance, and you can take a look at it. And after that, we'll talk to our guest.
Hi there, this is Capitan Wallace. I'd like to wish Kurtis, Fujita, and Patrick Lugo a good fortune and success in their Kickstarter Special Guest Comic and a Tiger's Tale comic book. So it's out now, check it out. Y quiero desearle mucha suerte y muchas felicidades a Patrick Lugo y a mi hermano Kurtis, Fujita, por su lanzamiento del Chaoshan Comic Book y el Tiger Tales. Chequenlo, están en todas las redes y chequen todo el media, el Instagram.
right, we're back, and I'm going to have Patrick introduce our guest when he's ready. Go for it, Patrick.
I'm so excited to introduce to you an old friend of mine, a longtime friend that feel so privileged to know, Dr. John Kokko. Welcome to the Comics Fu Show, John.
Hey, good seeing you guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You guys say Gong Hei Fa Choi or Gong Shi Fa Cai?
I learned Gong Fu Cha myself, but
and I learned Gong Fu Cha, so either one's good.
All right.
We've got the yin and the yang here.
There you go.
And then with you, John, we've got the grand ultimate Tao, right? So
No, man, you're giving me too much.
Well, that just conveys my enthusiasm for tea, and so I'm excited. I've been over the course of this journey, promoting A Tiger's Tale as a graphic novel. One of the things I've been trying to convey is that tea is more than just fighting, and I've always been using. Kung Fu is more than just fighting, and I've been using tea as an example, which is why I want you to elaborate on that particular detail.
Yeah, so Gong Fu Cha. Let me just give you a little background. I got into tea about 20 years ago. Came to the Bay Area. First thing I wanted to do was just look around. I went to the Himalayan Fair in North Berkeley. Anyone who's local knows about the Live Oak Park. And there was this guy who was selling tea there. And it looked like a Himalayan tent. I just sat there. And this old hippie said, "Hey, you want the good stuff?" I said, "Oh, really?" Of course. I just came from Hawaii, so of course I wanted the good stuff, give me the kind. And so I went over. Well, actually, he went back and he pulled some ancient phoenix tea leaves, which I had no idea would do. I had no idea what good tea was, right? I was drinking tea bag stuff, and he put it into the gaiwan, and then he brewed it, and I tell you, in one moment, my mind was blown, my heart was open.
Wow.
And I felt like I was in a place that was so timeless. And, I did a lot of stuff by that time. I was like, in my early 20s. Nothing I experienced was that impactful because I actually was here present, and I also wasn't here at the same time. So it was non-dualistic. It was, liminal. And I was like, okay, I need some more of this stuff. So, if you drink good tea, sometimes you can be in that place where you're fully present and you're also not. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You're immanent and you're transcendental at the same time. And so I found some great teachers along the way. Winnie Yu, Master Wang Mingyi, Brian Kurtis, who's my current teacher. And we pressed our own teas. And what is Gong Fu Cha? Gong Fu Cha, for me, basically just means practice. Because I'll tell you, I've met people who've been drinking tea since the time they were 4 years old, and they're in their 70s, and they're still practicing, right? Just like everything. And so this is our practice here. If I could show you guys a little bit. This is actually a painting that Winnie Yu, who passed about 5 years ago, her father, who passed away last year, painted. He was quite a famous painter. And you can see here, this is Shen Nong.
Wow.
And there he is. He is the mountain. He's one with the mountain. And there are the herbs, which includes tea. This is the progenitor of Chinese medicine and also tea culture. And all that just drops down, goes into the river, and that goes into our cups. So that's the basis of a lot of this stuff and basis of a lot of Chinese culture, right? And also Japanese and Korean. I'm Korean myself. We also collect a lot of these fun things like teapots, a lot of paraphernalia. Here's a sample of our cups right here.
It's gorgeous.
And we bring a lot of people together. So a lot about tea is just bringing people together and sitting around a fire which is something that we used to do a lot of back in the day, and we sometimes forget. So would you like a little demonstration?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Most definitely.
Let's do it. All right. So first of all, I'm drinking here. I'm going to heat this up since I've been trying to get on the camera. All right. This is a 1999 Yiwu origin shopur. Some people say sho, some people say shu, and it's cooked. It means that it goes through a quicker fermentation process, but then secondly, it's aged. And so this is the cup right here. We call this obsidian. One of my favorite teas, actually. And 1999 was a rabbit year. It was an Earth rabbit year, and we just entered water rabbit year. So this is to Earth rabbit. Here's a toast.
Nice.
So I want to do a shout out to Patrick's friend and mine as well. Patrick, I actually met through David Wei, who is the founder of Wudong West, Chinese cultural health nonprofit, and a very good friend of both of ours, also a tea guy. So sometime we'll drink tea all together, maybe be on the show. And I just saw David yesterday. We celebrated Lunar New Year's together, and he also pressed his own rabbit cake. So we should get into some of that sometime as well. And so let me show you one of the really special, one of the most amazing things I've done professionally, which is collaborate with Patrick on a couple tea cakes and bricks. And let me show you this one here.
Wow.
This is Patrick's art right here.
That's great. I love that.
Okay, so it's 11Zs. And you see those guys, they're just basically, one guy's smoking a pipe, the other guy's pouring the tea, and there's Gandalf, Asian Gandalf back there in the shadows. And if you see in the clouds, you see the dragons. This is all Patrick's work. It's incredible. And right there on the bottom, you see Gollum. And he's saying, "Will do, Balbe," which is, "My precious." He's going for the cookies.
That is so cool.
Right. And our working title for this was actually cookie jar or cookie flavor. We were like, that doesn't sound cool. So then we came up with 11Zs or 11Cs, depending on the way you want to put it. And then, by the way, this is organic, delicious, malty, chocolatey. We sold out of 100 kilos last year.
Wow.
So this is the reissue. And it was just delivered this week. Wow. So I'm really, really excited about that. And if you want to try it, come on over. So here's the second one. I'm going to get a close up of that. This is second breakfast. And there's that Gandalf guy, but now you got a close up of him so you can really see what he looks like. And there are two characters, and they're still having fun, and they're still drinking tea. And this time they're celebrating. Let's do it this way. They're celebrating Chinese New Year.
That's great.
Right there. Also organic. This one is Gongting material. And Gongting means imperial grade. So a little bit more malty, a little sweeter. Also super delicious. You got to try it. So Patrick, thank you. I'm so happy that we collaborated on these and that David was the connection, the bridge. So you know what? Wellness, right? Tea is part of life. It's medicine. It's happiness. And so Gong Fu Cha, a lot of it is just having a good time. It's not about like how fancy you are. I can tell you, I've studied a lot of different people practicing in person and on YouTube. and just seeing what they do and how they operate. And it's really personal. I mean, my style is not doing this and shut up, watch me. And that's fine if people want to do that, and that's their style. But what we do is we definitely just go back and forth. And one of the coolest things about tea is that when you drink from the same gongdabe, everyone gets the same qi, right? It's chemical, it's energetic, it's fluid, and that liquid qi goes into everybody, and everybody is on the same vibration for a little while, right? At least until you sweat or pee it out. And that's an amazing thing, actually, where we can all get on the same vibe. So I'll be making some of this tea right here. I'm going to be trying to do it with one hand. Let's see if I could do it. All right. Any questions in the meantime?
Yeah, actually, I have a question. The few times that I've had Gong Fu Cha or form of it, and I think I saw it in front of you. There's like a tray with like slats in it.
Yeah.
And then oftentimes what they'll do is they'll kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better word, douse the cups first, empty it, and then do like a second or pass or several passes, and then you smell the aroma and then you consume it. Is that what is the purpose and the reasoning behind that initial action of kind of dousing it and removing?
Yeah, I think that's just hygiene, to be honest with you.
Oh, really? Okay. Really?
Yeah, I mean, back in the days, you've seen these Westerns where the bartender just like spits into the glass and then he just kind of wipes it.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have washing machines and like, high powered, kind of heat coming out. So boiling water would sanitize that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And also what's interesting about tea is that it actually kept people alive, not just because the tea leaves, but because they were boiling water and drinking clean water. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Just like alcohol was keeping the Romans alive, right? Because they would dilute a glass of wine 20 times and that would be like their fluids for the whole day, right? So I think that's partly to stay alive. And secondly, now we just do it because it's a ritual,
sure,
which kind of harkens to why rituals are really important, right? And one of them is that if we do rituals, we actually connect to our ancestors. And one thing to think about is that we are our ancestors, right? So the DNA is in there. That's a material thing. But what I noticed when I had that first cup of that ancient phoenix was that I was doing this, a couple thousand years ago. I mean, it may not have been with that kind of tea. It could have been with something else, but I was drinking tea, and so were you guys were doing it too. And so when you drink tea, you become your ancestor, right? And you give respects to your ancestors. And I think that every time you do that, you're doing a libation and you're pouring for someone inside of you and someone up there and down there, right? So the 3 levels. So let's do this. Let's pour a little bit of boiling water right here. First of all, I'll cleanse out the last thing I just, let's see here. You guys can see that. This is called a chahai or a gongdabe, which is a fairness cup, also known as a sea of tea. So what you could do is when you have one of these guys, you can pour from the sea into each river, stream, into each pond, which are people's cups. And it's a beautiful analogy, just like acupuncture. Acupuncture is really connecting to streams of qi throughout the body. And it's fractal. So that's number 1. Number 2 is you can get a cup. You can also douse it with a little bit of water. Okay. I've got right here, this kettle, we want to get this really hot. And I'm putting it on full boil. Okay. So this guy right here is going to be a little bit more sweet for the tea and a little bit more viscous, thick. And also it's going to integrate all of the elements. And one reason for that is because there's earth elements here. And so the earth phase connects all of the different phases. So if we use something like glass right here, we don't have the same effect, right? This guy right here is just going to be a pure, you know, not sterile, but pure non-elemental, okay? And it's a big difference when you go into something like this clay kettle, okay? So now I put the tea leaves in here. This is second breakfast. I'm going to use another pot. Here's another one right here. Going to warm it up, wake it up. Okay, really easy. I just go into my stash. And there's a nice little nugget right there. Now look, if you can, I hope I can show you here. Can you guys see that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so lots of gold in there. And you see the tiny little leaves? That's the imperial grade, Gongting. Okay, so it's going to be sweeter and maltier. And it's really delicious. Now, if you want to, you can break it up into smaller pieces. And you don't have to. But it's like making a fire. And that's really interesting because if you guys have made fires in the woods, you know how things start on fire. A little small pieces, a little medium pieces, a little big pieces. Right? Just like we need 3 generations for culture to thrive. If you have only small pieces, it just burns up. First cup, really strong, and then it's gone. If you only do big pieces, it's really slow and it never achieves that yang qi, right? So we want to find a balance between small, medium, and large, right? Just like young, middle age, and old in a culture, which I just found out from my friend Nisa that Confucius was actually a rabbit. She did a talk here yesterday, and that was really interesting. That one of the most important people in Asian culture is a rabbit. So here's also giving some respect to Confucius, right? Confuci. Okay, so now we've got the leaves in there. And I'm going to do a little rinse. Okay, just like this. It might be a little cloudy. You guys see that? It's a little bit cloudy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You don't want cloudy. You want clear. Because what goes into your cup is also what goes into your body, which goes into your mind. So you don't want a cloudy cup. You don't want a cloudy mind. So you want to clear it. Now I smell the lid. Ah, that's so nice. So first of all, this pot right here is made of yixing. And I smell the lid, which is like smelling, it's a cloud catcher, smelling a little piece of heaven, okay? The body itself is earth. Now I smell inside, and it smells totally different. These are little nuances. Makes it more fun. Then I pour into that pot. And my teacher said, go all the way to the top. And depending on how you like it, you can do this for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. It's all really personal. Okay, so I'm going to go for about that much. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
All right. Now, I just want to show you the color. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you want to inspect the color, and you don't want it to be straight black, okay? Because if it's straight black, you're going to lose a lot of that spectrum of chi, right? It's going to be kind of a one note, all right? That kind of red color, according to one of my teachers, Master Wong, is going to be more resonant to the heart. So you want to bring a little bit of that red, which is the heart chi, into your body. If it's pure black, that's water element, which is going to be kidneys. Okay. So we're going to connect the heart and the kidney with the red and the black. And I'm putting it into the cup. And you see in there, it's a dark sort of magenta.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's a nice color. Very nice.
It looks delicious.
I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's oil on top.
Yeah.
Right. And it creates these dragon lines. And that's quite beautiful if you really pay attention to it. So you have the steam and the chi that's rising out, and that's like the dragon's breath. Right. And then we're putting this chi into our bodies. Wow. And what's great is when you don't have to think and you just feel that inside, and it's like, I love that nonverbal, pre-verbal, guttural kind of sensation. And what's great for someone like me who has a little bit of ADD, my mind's like all over the place, is that when I drink something like this, it really brings me to the present moment. And that's part of the Gong Fu Cha.
It's amazing.
All right. Any other questions right now?
I have, unless Patrick does, I have another question, or more of an, it might help people get further insight. So, I see a, traditional Chinese medicine doctor, and been doing so for decades now. And a big component that she got on my case about right off the bat was no cold beverages. In fact, no cold food,
Yeah.
right? No ice cream, no ice, nothing like that, right? And
Right.
that's always been, and I've been, I'm a recovering cold beverage drinker. Been sober for a couple years now.
Right.
But from your background, not only with the Gong Fu Cha, but also your medicinal background, I think it would be interesting if you could share any insights about that, because that's absolutely foreign to us as Americans, right? Especially Americans, ice and everything, cold. We're kind of taught that that's the way to go. I'd be very curious to hear your insights about that and to kind of share that with our audience.
Yeah. So imagine that you're actually an energy body. You're not just this physical form. This physical form is actually a manifestation of your chi, right? So if you put cold on your skin, like you put ice on your skin, you're going to start to feel cold, and the heat is going to come out of your body to heat you up, right? So if you put the cold inside your body is going to have to use its own metabolic fire to heat that up, which means you're losing chi, you're losing energy, right? So over time, people lose energy, and it's okay when you're 5 years old, 10 years old, 20. By the time 30, 40, 50 comes around, you need to have as much of that fire as you can in order to stick around, to keep that heart beating, right? So let's just say you put that cold inside your body, and all of a sudden you start feeling a little contraction, feeling nauseous, right, in your stomach. Well, that cold is contracting your stomach. It's contracting all of the viscera, right? Because cold contracts, when you put heat inside your body, it expands, right? Like the steam. And so that qi goes inside and it hydrates and it brings energy into your body. The other thing to think about is when you put fire like this, all this electricity, all of the fire that's inside of this, whatever it took to make that water boil, that energy goes into that cup, and then that goes into your body. So you are drinking yang qi. You're drinking electricity, fire, energy. You're putting that into your body. When you put something cold, that energy is stuck. It's frozen, right? And so you're not actually getting that energy. You're losing energy, right? So over time, you'll lose energy and you'll feel tired, right? I always feel more energized when I put something warm in my body. And I've told my patients, just try it, even 1 week. No cold, no raw foods, no smoothies in the morning, especially in the morning because it's a fire, right? If you're putting wet wood on your fire, on a campfire, nothing's going to stoke. And it doesn't matter how expensive the food is after that, right? It's just going to be ashes. So especially in the morning, you want to have some heat and you want to stoke that fire. And once your metabolic qi, that fire is started, at lunchtime, you could have a little bit of, whatever, a salad in the summertime, whatever. And then at dinner time, it's cold outside again. The yin has come, the yang has come down, and you want to get that fire back up. So you definitely want to have warm and cooked food, especially at night. And this is all intuitive. In the summer, there's a lot of fire outside, so you can have a little bit of cooling things. In the winter, it's cold outside. Why would you put ice inside your body and evacuate all that yang, that fire? Doesn't make any sense. But people don't think like, I don't know, the ancients, the primal ones, they saw everything in these elemental forces, right? Water, fire, earth, metal, right? Air, wood. This is the way they saw things. And today we're so separated from nature that we've completely lost our sense of our connection as beings in nature. And it makes total sense, right? Mm-hmm. Why would you take away your energy? You want to live as long as you can. So that's why it's really smart to put warm things inside your body.
It's amazing. No. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, so much, right? It's such deep wisdom, and I mean, so many layers, so many things, like just the whole concept of elements. I mean, we could have this conversation ongoing, but the lucky thing is that our friend David Way will be joining us later on this month on one of these live streams, so we could continue the conversation with him and bring this whole thing full circle. John, I want to thank you for taking some time out to have tea with us. The only thing that was missing was the flavor and the smell.
I really, really wish you guys could smell that, taste that with me. We'll do that. And the other element is incense. If you have incense, which is the yang aspect of the yin, along with the tea drinking, that's great too. I think in the old country, people just smoke. That's their incense, right? But we're healthier here. We don't smoke inside. So yeah. But Happy New Year to everybody. And thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, John.
Aloha.
All right. Mahalo.
Thanks, Jan.
Wow, Patrick, you brought an amazing guest. That was so fun.
I just wish, I mean, like you caught glimpses of it, but it's such, going there. I was there last year for Lunar New Year. So, going there and just being there amongst the people, that whole sense of like the collective chi, that's kind of like a real thing, and I hope now people at least have a more concrete vision of what I'm talking about when I say that Kung Fu, you can have good Kung Fu and tea, right? Like the precision of his senses to be able to describe the maltiness of the drink, the difference between a glass pot and a ceramic pot, and how, the ability to taste that difference in a cup of tea. I mean, I think people are still getting past the idea of those little tea bags.
Yeah, tea is not necessarily Lipton tea, And what I thought was so fascinating was the idea of being connected, right, and present. Almost everything he was saying, whether it was on the medicinal part of the aspect or the actual, meditative aspect, it was all about connecting. He was talking about connecting to generationally. He was talking about connecting to the actual environment around you, connecting to yourself, all that. And that's such a thing about being present, right? As somebody in martial arts or anything, it's that idea of being connected to something. And that's
and here I was not present for a moment, so I apologize. But that's the nature of running a live show, right?
Live stream. You're present in all the tasks that have to be done at the same time. So it wasn't like a blurb was outside and you were focusing on that. But
right.
Yeah,
and then also the inherent irony of like talking about these ancient wisdoms and the importance of the presence. Mm-hmm. While we're all really in these tiny little, screens, and he's doing all of that while he's holding his phone like this while doing the tea. And
that's the dilemma, right? Is like, how do you leverage this technology into that connectivity? It's like, as we become more connected technologically, we become more disconnected as people, but I think there's a way to do it. And I think what we just experienced with him is a perfect example of that, right? I'm not there, you're not, you're closer, you're much closer, but I get to experience some measure that nothing replaces, real life interaction. But this is an amazing technology, that we can do. I mean, not to go too far tangent, but I teach Kung Fu online. And sometimes people get, you're teaching Kung Fu online and in person's better. Absolutely. But they forget that before, the way people taught martial arts outside of the physical was just in a book, right? Or a video.
Through little magazine layouts, step by step.
Yeah. So, it's like, yeah, absolutely not as good as in person. But my gosh, from a book to actual interaction online, that's amazing, But yeah, and I love those illustrations you did for the tea. Those are amazing. They look, and even that one on the cake. You have such a phenomenal design sense. I love how you really took that on compositionally, having that round circular surface to it. That was so cool.
Well, I happen to have some of the developmental art for that tea cake here on another screen.
Oh,
so
great. Yeah, I want to see that.
While we're on that subject, let's see if I can share it. There we go. Let's see.
Let's take a look.
So if you didn't catch the gag, right? They were Kung Fu hobbits, right? Because hobbits don't have to just be, the Shire doesn't just have to be freaking in England. People forget, especially with recent, controversies about specific casting for hobbits, etc. We wanted to embrace that. So that's where and also 11Z's tea is really delicious. You can get about 11 steepings out of it. So that was one of the tipping points in changing the name to 11Z's from, I think it was called like cookie something, like chocolate chips or chocolate chip cookie. I don't know. It was a play on words. So that's where we had the cookie thing. But we had to follow up the sequel with second breakfasts. There was just no escaping it. So here you have one of the early sketches that I did.
How, if I can ask, how was this like a thumbnail? How big was this on the physical actual? Because it looks like it was done. With an actual pencil.
I did draw it. I have my sketchbook. Maybe about 3 inches like that. It was a small. It was like one of my moleskin sketchbooks. So they're kind of small. About this size, and so I drew 2 of them, but you'll see that that I worked out the logo aspect digitally separately, and then just kind of incorporated that. So here's a second view.
That's great.
Of the similar concept. Like, we pretty quickly came upon the idea of like, if it's going to be circular, it should be like the Hobbit hole, and we should be looking in on their little breakfast, right? So nice.
I love his hand. His hand is so nice. Like you didn't opt for just like all fingers on the same plane. You did that nice stagger. I just had to point that out. I love his hand there. That's great.
Oh yeah, hands, right? That's like one of the great challenges for any artist. So yeah, so there was some question of like specifics, right? And also the whole playing the gag of the hobbits, right? I wanted to be able to like let people know that it wasn't a mistake that one of them was significantly larger than the others. So I had to get that hand in there.
That's great.
To just establish the scale.
Oh, definitely. That's smart.
And then here we're gonna skip ahead, right? We kind of knew we wanted the hand in there. We knew we wanted that presence, but we kind of changed around some of the details. So I might have put these out of order, but I think you can see some finished line art in this, and some variations of like the border treatment.
I like that kind of Celtic knot kind of aspect on the right one. That's great.
Right. Well, we that because we still Tolkien nerds are everywhere.
Sure. Sure.
And so there was definitely some desires about like getting, since it's going to be a circle, how can we evoke the one ring within the story as well? So we were playing with like what kind of elven script or Celtic knots we could use.
Cool.
And then we started discussing color, right? Because the first one I did, the first 11 Z's label, the square label I did was black and white. And I have footage of that, I have a great time-lapse video of that piece of artwork being done. Right. And that's like on my homepage at plugoarts.com. So it's always like fun when people come to visit my website, they get to see that thing. It's like a 30-second clip of that whole illustration being done.
And I love the maki in the middle. I like that you included that along with the dumplings on the side. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. It was like a whole debate. There really was some thought that went into like exactly what's going to be on the menu, and you'll notice that we were playing with the different color schemes, right? Of like black and white with just some color, or here we have, another kind of subdued color scheme. But at this point, the line art was really locked in, right? We tried out a few different border schemes. I don't know if you can see them as well. Like the borders changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But here, let me share another version. So at this point, as Kokko and I were collaborating, we were just working out like the specifics of, I was presenting some more color schemes. And do you want animated style color? Do you want a watercolor style color? Something in between? Does it just want to be limited, So like in this case, right, the color was down at the bottom, but you can see how Gandalf is a little bit more in the distance there. It's so interesting how these PDFs render in real time. You can see all the layers.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But so here we are, just more closer to the finish. Lots, we've got the brighter banner. At this point, the artwork really hasn't changed.
I really like the eye lines too. I mean, I like that you have him looking straight forward, and then all the eye lines. I mean, it creates not only their heads, but the eye lines are creating that triangle composition, which is really nice. And I always love looking at your work.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely what I wanted to there's a Z hidden in there, but there's actually like a couple of Z's, so I wanted I wanted you to see the white eyebrows, because that indicates longevity. And as Kokko mentioned, right, longevity and tea have a intimate connection. So, and then I wanted to evoke the steam in the curls of the beard. So that's why his beard leads your eye down, but it also could be the steam coming up from the tea, and then the tea is pouring to the left, or not the left. Is that the left? Stage left? I forget. But you get my point. The tea pours into the cup, and then you see the whole spread, which is the actual second breakfast.
It's great.
It was fun. It was a fun piece, and it was something that I had to squeeze in while I was working on my Wuxia Warrior commissions from the previous campaign, right? My 2022 campaign. but I could not resist the opportunity to work on a sequel
No, that's
to this
great.
illustration. So, and then to see them live, it's the first time I've seen them live. So
Oh, nice.
I was like leaning really forward, squinting to try and get an idea of, how did that print? Maybe a
Yeah.
little bit too dark for my taste, but you know
Could be
how
the
it
lighting.
is.
You never know. No, it looks great.
Exactly.
Such a pleasure seeing your work.
Well, that's the thing, and it's also like part of what my philosophy has become with how can I get here we go. With these campaigns, because it's not just, I don't just want them to read a finished comic, I want them to be a part of the experience. I want them to have, in the same way that we just had this window into the world of Kokko wellness, I want my work to be a window into the world of what inspires me, and
absolutely. And you can tell, I mean, you can tell as an artist, you can tell as a creator, who cares, who puts that little bit of extra effort, right? I when I first started on my comic book, there was I had hired an acquaintance to do the inking, and it was very apparent this person had inked stuff like for George Perez or people way up there, and it was very apparent that they did not take my project seriously, So I was put in this awkward position, and I had to have a talk with him, and essentially his end. I said, "Did you really do your best effort on this?" Because it was very evident he did not. I mean, to the point where you could tell that he didn't even fill the pen with ink. I mean, it was really bad.
wow.
Yeah. And so, and his answer just threw me for a loop. His answer was, he goes, "Well, of course I'm not going to work as hard on it, or I'm not going to care as much as you, because it's your baby." And I wanted to say to him, "Yeah, but I'm paying you to do it. That's what a professional is. I'm paying you to care." Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was when it was like, okay, this isn't working out. Let that go. I'll do it all myself. Right. And I think both of us, our projects are unique in the fact that it's completely me. I mean, if you want to see me on a page, get Shadow Ghost. If you want to see Patrick on a page, get a Tiger's Tail. I mean, it's that absolute sincerity. Right. And, we're basically bleeding ink on these pages, and it shows, I could go on and on. I think we're that's probably a good segue as we close out before our next show. Don't you think?
Kurtis, I'm constantly telling you, your timing is impeccable with these things. So yes, I concur completely.
Well, why don't you feel free to let everybody know who's coming up in less than an hour, I believe, right? In less than an hour, we'll start back up.
Yes. So shakuhachi master Cornelius Boots will be joining us in about an hour to discuss the shakuhachi flute, which is the Zen flute. And I let's see if I did this correctly. No, he just posted this awesome video of him doing the performance that I was just like, I gotta remember this, because it was a great example of what I was telling you, where it's a contemporary John Coltrane.
Oh, really? With the Zen flute?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
amazing.
And I just wish there was a way I could just press a button to get it from my iPad to this stream. But maybe after our trailers, we could play our trailers, and that might give me enough time to set up a link.
Let's do this. So as always, we're gonna close out. We thank everybody for coming. We're gonna show a little bit about our two projects, and in the spirit of the MCU, which we love so much, make sure you stay through to the trust, because we're gonna add a little something special at the end. So don't go away. Because it is Tiger Tuesday, we're gonna start with the Tiger's Tail and then a little bit of Shadow Ghost.
Hi, I'm Lugo, author, illustrator, comic creator, and the art director for Kung Fu magazine for more than 20 years. But I'm here to talk to you about a project that's really special to me. It's the middle grade graphic novel, A Tiger's Tale. Imagine the story of tigers and dragons and martial artists and monsters. So when I launched the campaign for A Tiger's Tale Volume 1, I did not know what to expect, but it succeeded thanks to a group of passionate backers. It was also awarded the Make More Comics art grant that year and was later featured as part of an art gallery exhibit. And that's why I'm coming to Kickstarter, to cover production fees, printing, copy editing, things like that. Books completed, with the exception of a few pages I've set aside for color over the course of the campaign. This turned out to be a popular feature of Volume 1's campaign, so I thought I'd bring it back for Volume 2. I think it's going to be great fun for everyone. Hope you'll support the campaign. I'm very excited about it. Thanks for stopping by.
As a kid, I loved Kung Fu movies, so I went to Chinatown, trained with a wise teacher, and became a Kung Fu master. Sounds simple, right? Not really. My journey, like the study of Kung Fu, was as arduous as it was rewarding, filled with as many secrets as revelations and as much heartache as triumph. It's a defining moment in my life, and while I began studying Kung Fu to learn how to fight, what I discovered was a way to live. Martial arts never came easy to me. I was far from talented and even farther from being the chosen one. It was only through years of tenacious perseverance that I was able to make steady progress. And so, I was surprised when my master told me that I should teach Kung Fu and share the art outside of Chinatown. I did just that and taught Kung Fu to my own students for 20 years. I always wanted to do more to share the art of Kung Fu with others, but was limited by only being able to teach those within my immediate area. What about the rest of the world? Then one day, I had one of the deepest insights about Kung Fu. I realized that the punches, kicks, throws, and myriad of martial maneuvers are merely the delivery system for the true essence of Kung Fu, the philosophy and way of life. Having worked for years as a professional artist and storyteller in film, animation, video games, and comic books, I realized that I could draw upon this unique skill set to share my passion for Kung Fu with the greater world. And so I created Shadow Ghost, the Kung Fu comic by a Kung Fu master. The first issue is created entirely by myself, from story and art to colors and lettering. Every panel is filled with unprecedented accuracy in its depiction of Kung Fu by a comic book creator who knows from first-hand experience what it means to be a Kung Fu master. Shadow Ghost is a martial arts coming-of-age story about a young man whose search for the truth about a legendary hero leads him to study Kung Fu, and through a twist of fate becomes part of the legend himself. For the first time in comic book history, you can immerse yourself further in each issue with Kung Fu skills technology, powered by Tiger Crane Kung Fu. Scan the QR code at the back of the comic and follow an exclusive link to an online instructional video where I teach you Kung Fu techniques featured in this series. With Kung Fu skills technology, you can do more than just read about the Shadow Ghost saga. You can become a part of it. The first issue is completely finished and ready for print. All that's needed is for you to make a pledge of support so that we can fund the printing of the first issue. Together, we can share the wisdom of Kung Fu with the greater world. Shadow Ghost is the story of Kung Fu. It's about the people, the art, the culture, and the philosophy. It's my story and the story of those that I've learned from, taught, fought, and loved. Join me and become part of the vibrant legacy in a place and time where we might not be the chosen one, but where we can make a choice to be part of something bigger and greater than just ourselves. I'm Sifu Kurtis Fujita, and this is Shadow Ghost, the Kung Fu comic by a Kung Fu master.